Hello everybody, my name is Manny and welcome back to my guided playthrough. Last time we left off by going back from the ledge, so I will head back there. And as you can see, because I wasn't in the area for some time, the area has reset and now I'm in the middle of the area with two ways to go, and I'm not quite sure which one is the way forward and which one is the way back. So I will just take one direction and hope that I'm not going backwards, because that would be unfortunately. I would have to go the way again. One thing that I forgot to mention last time is, do you see these black floating minions right here? These are the phantasms my raging spirits can summon when they kill an enemy because of the phantasm support gem that I linked to my raging spirits. Okay, right now I just went back to the submerged passage. That's not where I want to go. So in this case, because I do not have any portal scrolls left, I will just exit to the character selection and click on play again to join the game again. I'm back in town. I go to the waypoint, to the ledge. And now you can see, because I wasn't away for very long, only for a couple of seconds, the way is still explored. And I do know that the way forward is this way, so I don't have to go all the way back manually. And because now I have already 8 scrolls of wisdom, I am not picking up the white items anymore. This was just in the beginning, where I was very limited on my wisdom scrolls, but now I'm fine with what I have. The rare ones I take then chain boots, blue boots can be useful. And here you can see my character is moving slowly. This was because of the totem. It had a slow aura. But regarding boots, if I find magical rare boots, I will always pick them up so I can identify them, because as I stated before, boots can have an affix that give me increased movement speed, so my character could move faster, and this could be very nice. We have a medium life flask. I will take this one. And if we look at it, it says quality 7%, and you can also see that the recovers 161 life is in blue, because the quality of on a life flask increases the amount of life recovered. If a mana flask has quality, it increases the amount of mana recovered. And quality on a utility flask, like the Quicksilver flask, which increases my movement speed, would increase the duration that the flask lasts. So now, because this medium life flask recovers more life than the small life flask, I will just replace one of my small life flasks. And as you can see, because I just equipped it, it has 0 charges. And my small life flask that I removed lost all charges because I put it in the inventory. If you go to town, then your flask charges would always be set to the maximum and fully recharged. Here once again, this totem has a slow aura, makes me move very slowly. And now let's check out the league mechanic for this league. Okay, I have here a Sanctum map to interact with, and now I can see the map of the Sanctum. This is some sort of roguelike game or area. I'm not too familiar with roguelikes, but basically in this league mechanic, you start here in one room, and after you have finished this room, you can go to connected rooms. The connections are shown with these lines right here, and your goal is to go all through the dungeon to fight the boss at the end. What you can see here is one floor, and the dungeon has 4 floors all the time, and each floor gets increasingly difficult. In this area, you are not focused on your life or regenerating life, but instead you have resolve. Resolve damage cannot be mitigated, so the enemies will always deal the same amount of resolve damage independent of your armor or your resistances. And once your resolve hits 0, you lost at the Sanctum, and you have to leave. You cannot continue the run. If you hover over this room, right here, you can see it contains a minor treasure reward. Treasure give you currency, these coins right here. With these coins you can buy other things in the Sanctum. There are shrines, for example, that restore your resolve, which cost a little bit of currency. Then you can have a merchant that sells you buffs or relics in the dungeon. Relics increase your character or give you beneficial effects for your character in the dungeon. And then whenever you see this purple outline, this is an affliction. An affliction has a negative effect on your character. And as you can see here as well, this icon with the hand and the globe inside is a room that offers you a reward. I would say let's just try it out. In the beginning, if you have no relics and a relatively weak character, the Sanctum can be very challenging. And honestly, I'm not even sure if I can even finish this room, because I'm very bad at the Sanctum. I'm not good at dodging enemy attacks, and I usually need a very powerful character to get a little bit further in the Sanctum. Okay, here's a large life flask, I will pick that up. Now I picked up some coins. These will be automatically picked up if you go near to them, and they can be dropped from some enemies in the Sanctum or from chests. And now I can hopefully show you, I can cast my Raging Spirits just to the edge, and they will seek out the enemy automatically while I can hide somewhere. Like here's an enemy, I will just cast them in this direction. They will float further to the enemy and attack it, and I can stand here out of harm's way. Then I will open the chests to get a little bit more of these coins. Some rare boots, maybe they are helpful. And now you can see here, room completed. What I didn't mention before, but you can rewind the video if you want. On the top right here, you will see the objective on this room. And there are different objectives. Sometimes you only have to find the exit. Sometimes you have to defeat the guards, which are usually some special monsters. Like this one right here, there are usually smaller ones that just some gargoyles or anything, and then are more like character looking enemies that are guards. And sometimes you have to defeat a boss. So now here is my reward, some 2 caches, which have some coins. Now you can see down here, currently I have 132 coins and still all my 300 resolve. Then the way forward is currently blocked because I did not save any rooms previously, and I can go back to my map. Well, not map, but to my area. What you can see here is an essence. Essences are trapped enemies. You can see they are currently not moving. And if you look at the top, you can see this one right here fires extra projectiles. Well, first of all, it's a rare enemy because the name is in yellow. And the rare enemy gets the additional effect that he fires extra projectiles. And he deals extra lightning damage and inflicts light exposure on hit. So if he hits me, I take more lightning damage, and his attacks also do more lightning damage. So for this, you can always look out, because sometimes they can be very dangerous. And down here, if I kill this enemy, he will give me a Whispering Essence of Greed. So because I'm using Raging Spirit, I can just summon them beforehand, so I already have some up and I don't start at 0. And then I will click on the enemy. That was 2 times. One more time. That will set him free, and my minions will attack it. And as you have seen, once I have clicked a 3rd time, I immediately flashed away. That's because these essence monsters can be very strong. Some are very weak, but some are very strong. And I don't want to set it free, and he immediately hits me and maybe even one-shots me, so I'm immediately flashing away. And this is the Whispering Essence of Greed. I personally really like essences because, like I said before, with the Orb of Transmutation or the Orb of Alteration like here, they can modify items. The same thing with the essences. Here it says, you can see in the description, it upgrades a normal item to a rare item with 1 guaranteed property. And it's also stated that these properties are restricted to level 35 or below, because each affix on an item has a specific limit what item level you need. If you can remember from the passive skill tree, the advanced tooltips, if I hover over an item and I press Z, then you can see here the item level of this item in the middle is 3. And for essences, for affixes, they need a specific item level to give you specific modifiers. In general, for now, it's enough if you know that the higher the item level, the better values you can usually roll. The good thing for essences is, compared to other crafting items like the Orbs of Alteration, for example, with Orbs of Alteration, it's completely random what modifiers you get. Essences always guarantee 1 modifier, and all the others are random. Because like I said before, a rare item can have up to 6 affixes, so 1 of them is guaranteed and the other 3 to 5 are random. So if I use this essence on a weapon, I would get physical damage leeched as life. If I would use it on an armor item, I would get increased maximum life. On a quiver, physical attack damage leeched as life. On a belt, increased flask and life recovery. Increased flask life recovery rate. So if I use a life flask, then I would gain the life of the life flask faster. And other jewelry items, so rings or amulets, it would regenerate life. So with essences, it's a little bit more deterministic what you can craft, which I personally always enjoy. So here's another unique enemy that casts some lightning spells. Basically, if you have looked closely, you can see these little circles on the ground. Basically, in Path of Exile, if you see any circles on the ground, you usually want to avoid them to avoid damage. As you can see here, there is a item with a teal text dropped, and this is a skill gem. This is a ballista totem support that's summoning a totem that can attack my enemies as well. So skill gems can drop from enemies as well. If I've missed anything that you would like to know, then please let me know in the comments. Because some things to me are just already very clear, and I'm not thinking about, okay, this is not so clear for everyone, and this is why I may miss some information. If this happens, just ask them. Okay, on my map I can see there is another essence. This one is a Whispering Essence of Woe. That gives me some other outcomes. The shrine that I have taken now is a lightning shrine, and every pulse shocks enemy, and shock increases the damage the enemy takes when hit. But I was too slow anyway, and the shrine wore off. And as you can see, this enemy is quite a little bit tankier already than the last one. But we defeated him. Pick up the essence. Now to show you, the Essence of Woe increases spell damage or gives me energy shield or some increased attack damage with bow skills. Now let's check out the next room of the Sanctum. Because I have already completed the first room, the second one looks a little bit different. I now can select one of these rooms, or if I don't want to run the Sanctum right now, I can just store this room for later, and I can have up to 8 stored rooms at a time, and when I decide to run them, I can run any number of stored rooms that I would like. So if I have stored, let's say 7, then I can run either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of rooms, or if I want to, I can also reset the Sanctum, then all my progress will be lost and I will just start over the next time. In this case, I will just store the room, it teleports me back out, and I can continue with my quest. Here you can see this is another rare enemy, and in the beginning this one can be quite tough, because these arrows that he's shooting in the sky and that are falling down can deal large amounts of damage, but my Raging Spirits already killed it. There is a large mana flask that I will take up, and I can also switch it out. I just dropped the small one. I will also take the large life flask and drop the small one as well. One thing to know with the flasks, I'm dropping them now because usually I find enough of them. But what you could do is, you could sell 3 small life flasks to the vendor to get 1 medium flask. So you can upgrade flasks in a ratio of 1 to 3 to a higher tier. The same goes with many items in the game. Like essences later on can be upgraded when you have more, and other items as well. If I think about it, I will point it out once we find one. Here we have another enemy that can deal quite a large amount of fire damage. But once again, due to my Raging Spirits, because they just attack alone without me doing anything, I can just focus on avoiding the enemy attacks and let them attack. Okay, we already have 2 more skill points. So I will go in here, I will spend them, because my next goal is the sacrifice right here, to give my minions some life regeneration, and then when I want to go either right here, to give my minions some attack and cast speed, or maybe I want to go here to get more damage, more life from my minions, and also increase the number of raised zombies. Okay, now I forgot to apply the points, and I tried to quit the skill tree by pressing escape. And because I did not apply the points, it will ask me if I want to apply these changes or not. I will just press yes, and my skill points are spent. Okay, if I look at my quest, it sends me back to town to get some more information. And the next quest, the way forward, it points me in this direction. So I will just go to town. I will also take care of my items. I will just identify them. And let's see if we got some movement speed boots. These ones do not have any. These have 15 life, which is not as bad. I'll just take it. Then I have some gloves, which would give me some evasion rating, some energy shield, some life and cold resistance. You can see here, these gloves have evasion rating and energy shield. This is because they are the mix of the item. So you have the items that have only one stat, like the simple rope right here, has only energy shield. Same with the gloves. And then you have items that give only armor, only evasion rating, and you have the combination of 2 of those. So armor and energy shield, evasion and energy shield, and evasion and armor. So usually these gloves would be better than these ones, but these gloves have my sockets that I want. I could change the sockets to my helmet because he has the same colors as well. So this could be in consideration. But let's check what else we have. Some strength, then some increased damage for attacks. I'm not using attacks, so this does nothing for me. Some accuracy rating for me, because I'm not attacking, this does not do anything for me as well. And I would gain some life when I hit enemies with attacks, but once again, I'm not attacking. So these gloves are useless for me. Then I could take a wand. It would give me some intelligence, lightning damage, would increase my spell damage, and grant me life when I hit enemies. Because I'm not attacking or casting myself, I'm only casting my minions and then my minions attack. Once again, this wand does almost nothing for me. It would give me 10 intelligence, which, like we said before, would increase my energy shield a little bit and give me a little bit more mana. But if I look at the sockets, it doesn't have the sockets that I want. So this wand is no good for me. And regarding the gloves, because I'm early on and I don't really care about my equipment too much, I mainly focus on the shield, on the sockets. Because I can play very passively and just hide behind my minions, I will just keep the equipment that I have. And here we get some more support gems because I finished one of the quests. And I will take this one right here, which increases the damage of my minions. I could also take the added lightning damage. This support gem adds lightning damage to the supported skill. So this would also affect the summoned minions of mine, because their attack can be increased by this added lightning damage. But in my case, I will just stick to the minion damage support. This gem increases the damage of the supported minions, but reduces their maximum life. So they would die more quickly, but they will deal more damage. One thing about my Raging Spirits, if you look at the teal text at the description, the last line, the last sentence, enemies will not directly engage these spirits and can pass through them. So enemies will not directly attack my Raging Spirits, so the reduced life is not really an issue on them. Unless the enemy does an area of effect, like a huge slam attack, and my Raging Spirits are inside of the area, then they would die quicker. What I would like to have now is an item where I have 3 blue sockets which are linked. Because I would like to use the minion damage support, I would also like either the Summon Phantasm support, or maybe I would buy another support, and I would also like the Summon Raging Spirit. If I check the purchase, I will just go to the second page to see the support gems, because here another option is the melee splash support. This gem says that supported skills deal splash damage to surrounding targets when they are used for a melee strike. My Raging Spirits, once they are summoned, they use a melee attack. So if I socket the melee splash with my Raging Spirits, then my Raging Spirits would do splash damage around with their attack. This can be very beneficial if you have a group of enemies standing right next to each other. Then each hit of my Raging Spirit would also damage the surrounding targets as well, which helps me to clear larger packs of enemies faster. So what I would actually like is a blue, red, blue 3-link item, so I can socket Raging Spirits, melee splash, and minion damage. I do not have such an item, but maybe one of the vendors sells one. So here you can see this would be red, blue, blue, but here is missing the link. And as you can see in the tooltip, the red text on the bottom line, I would need 2 orbs of transmutation, and I don't have 2 currently.
Goodbye.
But I think I should have. Yes, I have. That is because the items that are in my stash tab right here are not recognized by the vendor.
Yes?
So before I am buying anything, I will just sell the items that I don't want. Everything else I want to keep, that's fine. Then I will just put them all in so I can stack them. And now, because I want to buy some things, I will just take these items out and check the vendor again. So if I hover over it now, you can see I could buy this item in theory, but because of the missing link, it would not be any good to me. And also in the middle of the text, you can see requires level 12. I am not yet level 12. If I look at my character menu, I'm level 11. So it would not be that bad. I would get it pretty soon. But there are no 3 links. Okay. Then I will check the other vendor. He just gave me a quest as well. Here you can see this is more for the melee attackers or for the ranged, for the bow characters. Some items. These are some claws for melee combat that he's selling. But I am looking for blue, blue, red. But unfortunately I'm unlucky. But to be honest, okay, I was not quite sure if at this low level I can already get 3 linked sockets. But as you can see here, these are 3 linked sockets, so it is possible already. I'm just not lucky enough. There is a link missing as well. And this one right here has 3 sockets. Usually I would not do this, but here I have green, blue, red once again. They are all 3 linked. and you can see the cost is 1 scroll of wisdom. I currently have 7, so using 1 is not that much of an expense for me. And as I said before, if I sell 3 different colored linked sockets to a vendor, I get a chromatic orb, which lets me recolor the sockets on an item. Now I just put them back, because what I'm doing now is I change my phantasm support with minion damage support, and I just go back to leveling, because once I level up, the inventory of the vendors will be reset. So they will have new items for me to check out. So maybe on the next try I will get the item that I want. And now let's just proceed. If you look at the dropped items, you can see these little dots on the side. These are the sockets that an item has. So I can see, okay, this item has 2 red sockets and a blue one, but they are not linked together, because then you would also see the link on this item. So here is already the way to the upper prism. But now I will go back, because on the minimap I just saw this icon right here. This is a Trial of Ascendancy. I will just try to find my way to the trial, because this is something that is very helpful later on. Right now, not so much. But if you want, you can click this monograph right here to get a little bit of the lore. And if you click here on the door, the Trial of the Ascendancy will start. This is the first one in the campaign. And these trials have these traps. And your goal is to go through the traps. And here was a closed door. Here I have a lever. If I press the lever, the door opens. And now I can go back, preferably while avoiding the traps, because as you have seen with my zombies, these traps can damage you. Then there are some enemies that you can kill. Here are some more spike traps. They just pop up alternating. And I will just use my Frostblink skill to teleport over the edge, so I don't need to go through all the traps. Now there is the Trial of Ascendancy Plague. If I click on it, this one trial is finished, the portal opens, and with the portal I can teleport back to the entrance. If I click on this plague again, I can see this is the first Trial of Ascendancy, and I just completed it. And you can also see it was in the prison in Act 1. The other 5 Trials of Ascendancy are currently unknown to me in this stage of the game. I personally know where they are because of experience, but we will see what the trial is a little bit later on. Just so you know, if you see a trial like this, it would be beneficial if you do it during the campaign, then you don't have to go back later. Now I will go up to a prison, because my next goal is to kill the brute. So, okay, here's another Quicksilver Flask, which lets me run faster. That is a nice find. Resummon my zombies and equip the flask. At this stage of the game I don't need too many mana flasks anymore, I will just keep the larger one. Well, actually, this is a large one with some quality. It's nice as well. Now you can see here, this chainmail tunic, this has blue, blue, red. So I will pick it up, and I will also just save this room for now. And right now I can replace my simple robe with this chainmail tunic, because I'm already in a later area. This is already a better item. It almost gives me the same amount of energy shield plus some armor, which reduces physical damage taken from hits. And now the only thing that I need is go back to town and buy my melee splash support. But because I don't have any Scrolls of Town portal, I have to wait a little bit longer. And now, as you can see, I already have 4 zombies, even though I did not take this note that increases the number of zombies I have. The reason for that is, if we look at the race zombie skill gem, when you level up your race zombie, the number of race zombies increases. And the second thing that I forgot to mention last time is the 2 new lines that we got on the race zombie skill. The race zombie slam attack has 16% increased cooldown recovery rate, and the race zombie slam attack has 16% increased area of effect. That means that, just in general, my zombies have 2 different types of attack. As you may have seen, they have one slower slam attack, which affects an area, and they have a single target hit that they can also use. The slam attack has a cooldown, and the higher the level of the zombies is, the lower your cooldown gets, because your cooldown recovery rate is increased, and the more area the attack affects. So all nice things to have. These, I'm not quite sure about the color, maybe these bronze looking items, basically currency items, which I always pick up. Then I can level up my skills. My Raging Spirits just leveled up as well, so now they do a little bit more damage. This one right here is a debuff. I'm bleeding right now. Bleeding is a physical debuff, and it deals physical damage over time. And if I move while I'm affected by bleeding, the bleeding damage is increased, so I just take more damage. Early on in the game, it's not as dangerous, but in later stages of the game, bleeding can be very dangerous. So if you see this icon in later stages of the game, it is preferred if you either stop moving or use one of the available mechanics to remove a bleed effect. Usually this can be done with a flask, but we will see this later on when we are at this stage of the game. Right now I'm just looking for the way to the enemy, to the boss, so we can proceed. Okay, here you can see the door on my minimap.
Ignorance brought you here, sister, to the one place where your talents are...
Okay, here he is. I know that this boss can hit pretty hard, so I just try to keep my distance and cast my Raging Spirits. And because they seek out the targets themselves, it's a pretty comfortable fight if I don't mess it up. From time to time, this when he yanks out his chain, if he hits me with this attack, then he will pull me closer to him, and it can be pretty dangerous in the early stages. Okay, this is another green, blue, red linked socket item that I can sell for a chromatic orb. And here's the waypoint. Now I can go back to town, finish the quest, and take my melee splash support. Here I get a couple of other skills. This one right here is the first aura that I get. If you look at the spell, it tells you aura, spell, area of effect. An aura usually reserves mana, so if you look at the third line, reservation, 34 mana. And I think it's the easiest way is if I just take the gem and show you.
For some,
Then I also want to buy melee splash, and I now have another set of gems available, one of which are some of these which I was just offered as a quest reward, like Clarity, and here we have Flame Dash, and I do want to buy Flame Dash, so I'm just taking
what little help I can
my currency items. Okay, Flame Dash is another movement skill. For me personally, it's basically just an upgrade to Frost Blink, because it is also instant if I don't spam it, and it has 3 uses, and Frost Blink only has 1 use. Then another thing that I want is right here. Vitality is another aura that gives me life regeneration. I will also resocket my gems for Raging Spirit. One thing to note that I didn't mention before is Raging Spirit, if you look here in the third line, has a cost of 6 mana. So each cast of Raging Spirit would cost 6 mana. But when I look at my support gems, the third line here, cost and reservation multiplier 140%. That means that the base cost is increased by 40%, and therefore the more support gems you use with a skill, the higher the mana cost gets. The melee splash, for example, has a cost and reservation multiplier of 130, so this skill can get already pretty expensive, and if I hover over there, you can see the cost is 10 mana already, so 4 mana more than the initial cost. Now I will also socket my Vitality and my Clarity as well.
what little help I can offer.
Okay. This item I will not identify, because if I sell it I will always get the chromatic orb, no matter if it's identified or not. So I save a Scroll of Wisdom. I will sell this amulet as well, and I don't need the Frostblink or the Phantasm anymore, so I will sell them as well.
Be well.
I will keep the Scroll of Town Portal and just store my other items. Take the Scroll of Wisdom. And now I will show you the auras. I'm going back to Prisoner's Gate. Okay, now because I changed out my skill gems, I have to reorganize them the way I want it. Right here on E I want my movement skill again, my Flame Dash, and I also want to always cast where I'm at. This is a good example where I can show it. I remove this, so my character will move to a location where he can cast the spell, and Flame Dash has a specific range. So if I point all the way up here while my character is down here, because the range of Flame Dash is not that great, if I press Flame Dash, my character will first move to the location where the distance of Flame Dash is enough to go to the target location, and then he will cast Flame Dash. I do not like this. I want, when I press the button, that I immediately dash. So I activate this always attack without moving, just close the menu, and when I press Flame Dash now, let's go back so to have the same situation. All the way up here, it will just immediately cast and go just the distance that it can. As I said, the first use of Flame Dash is instant, and if I wait a little bit, then the second use would be instant as well. But if I just press the button and hold it down to keep casting, then you can see the second and third cast has a cast time. Flame Dash also leaves some burning ground that does a little bit of damage. In the beginning, this damage can be really nice as a little bit of support to my minions as well. Then I will remove it from here. Because I unequipped Raging Spirit from here to move it here, I will once again check if the box is still checked. Yes, it is. And here are my two auras, Clarity and Vitality. I personally always like to have my auras on the second skill bar. If you press Ctrl on your keyboard, then the second skill bar will be shown. And as you can see here with Ctrl W, Ctrl E, R and T, I have already changed the keybinds. This can be done in the options under input. If you scroll a little bit down, you have the use bound skill, and the skills 1 to 8 are these 8 primary buttons right here, and the other ones 9 through 13 are the ones that you see when you press Ctrl on your keybind. So now I press Ctrl to see this bar, and then I will just select my auras right here. I will also tick this box. For auras you don't need them because they are always cast on you, so it doesn't really matter. It's just something that I'm used to, and I will remove them from here. Now if I press Ctrl and W, my Clarity aura will be cast. You can see the icon on the top left that I am affected by the aura. You can also see, if you look at the icon, that is now highlighted in this way and has these two balls spinning around. I will do the same with my Vitality aura by pressing Ctrl E. Now it's active again. Once again you can see the effect, the icon here, and you can see the two effects, the blue one for my Clarity, the red one from my Vitality. And what these auras do is Vitality gives me 10 life regeneration per second, and Clarity gives me 2.9 mana regeneration per second. And like I said before, my Raging Spirits will become more and more expensive, either through leveling up and also through additional support gems that I may add in the future. So if I just keep casting them, you see my mana go down. And at some point I would just have to constantly use mana flasks, which I absolutely do not like. So in the beginning of the game I will just focus on Clarity. I will level it up a little bit to increase the mana regeneration that I get, and at some point I will not need any mana flasks at all. The downside for this is that the reservation costs will increase as well. So the more I level Clarity and Vitality, the more my unreserved mana will go down. And you can see the reserved mana right here. It does not fill up the globe anymore. So this part of the reserved mana I cannot use. And on the tooltip you can also see reserved 62, and mana I only have 157 out of 219 left. What I forgot to mention in the beginning is the way that you get these numbers is, okay, I thought it was right click, but I'm mistaken. Then it should be in the options menu somewhere. I will just cut the video here. I will take a look right here and we'll be back once I found it. Okay, I found the option. It's in the options under UI. If you scroll down to gameplay, and here you have show live mana levels. And if you tick it, if I remove it, then it's no longer shown unless I hover over it. And if I click on it again, then it's permanently shown. I personally like this one, so I will keep it like this. If I take one step back to the auras, these two have fixed mana values. So, well, not fixed, but absolute mana values. They have a specific amount of mana they reserve, and the higher I level these auras, the more mana they will reserve. Later on, I will get access to other aura skills that reserve a fixed percentage of mana, and this will not change when I level my aura up. But we will see that in a couple of episodes probably. Then I have one more skill point. I will take increased maximum minion life. And that's it for this episode. I hope you have fun playing the game and have a good day. Goodbye.